Okay, kids, I am mobile today, and so I'm going to do today's Daily Hawk news wrap up from my car. It's about 4:30 p.m. West Coast time on Thursday, January 30th. We're 10 days in. Part of the struggle for me in doing these things is to not have them just be these types of videos, is to have them not just be an avalanche of depression and bad news. It's like it's just a fire hose of bullshit, and I'll do my best to throw in humor where I can. I'm just telling you ahead of time, there are probably going to be occasions where that humor is not appropriate. What are you going to do? That having been said, last night there was a military helicopter that collided with a passenger jet, split it in half at about 200 feet in the air. All 64 people on the passenger jet were killed. All 3 military crew members on the helicopter were killed. Our new transportation secretary, former Fox News host, former cast member of MTV's The Real World, Sean Duffy, gave a brief statement saying, obviously it's not standard to have aircraft collide. I want to be clear on that. Progressive influencer Alex Cole responded by saying, no fucking shit. Analyst Michael Cayley said, I'm worried that Sean Duffy is not up to the challenge. Blogger Oliver Willis added, don't worry about your aviation safety, America, because the head of the transportation department is no longer woke, but is in fact that guy from MTV's The Real World. Sociologist Kieran Healy added, oh, we shouldn't ask the new Secretary of Transportation any hard questions about this disaster. That would be unfair somehow. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming about DEI. Donald Trump signed an executive order this afternoon blaming Barack Obama and Joe Biden for the plane crash. Obviously, no investigation is complete into this. Tennessee Republican member of the House, Andy Ogles, said, I think you have to look at this with eyes wide open, see what happened, human error. Was it some sort of equipment failure? Did DEI play a role in this type of crash? Donald Trump explicitly blamed Democrats and DEI for the crash because he's a piece of shit. But it's also worth noting that FAA Commissioner Michael Whitaker resigned from his position on January 20th, the day of Donald Trump's inauguration, after being excoriated on Twitter by Elon Musk for months because Mr. Whitaker had proposed more than $600,000 in fines against SpaceX, and Elon Musk didn't like that. So we don't have an FAA chief right now. Earlier this month, Trump fired the head of the Transportation Safety Administration, fired the head of the Coast Guard, terminated the Aviation Security Advisory Council, just fired all of them, and fired approximately 100 senior members of the FAA, because they're woke. All of those people were woke. Donald Trump also sought to blame former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, said he was incompetent, he was a disaster, specifically cited the whole, quote, diversity thing, unquote, and said that Pete Buttigieg has a good line of bullshit. Notably, there were no commercial airline crashes while Pete Buttigieg was Secretary of Transportation, nor were there any incidents where military aircraft slammed into commercial passenger planes, splitting them in half. CNN's aviation expert absolutely torched Donald Trump for blaming the crash on DEI, describing him as unprofessional, unpresidential, and frankly unhinged. Pete Muntean, Muntean, appeared on CNN and told host Pamela Brown, he's like, I put my head in my hands, Pam, when the president blamed DEI policies at the FAA for this crash. This is something that has been pushed by the far right for a few months now. So I guess DEI was also responsible for the wildfires in California as well. I mean, we saw that line of bullshit. It's like, fuck, man. It's like, let's all take a deep breath. Apparently, everything that's bad about the United States and America is because of black people, women, and the LGBTQ community and immigrants. And Trump's authoritarianism is here. It's here right now. It's not coming. We're not preparing for it to arrive. It is here right now. We are in it. And he is seeking to remake the entire executive branch and populate it exclusively with white men who support Donald Trump. They're white men who are loyal to Donald Trump as opposed to being loyal to the Constitution or to the United States. We are in his authoritarianism and everything that goes along with that. And to have witnessed over the last couple of months, especially the 1%, the corporate class, the tech world, all obey in advance in violation of the first principle in Timothy Snyder's book On Tyranny, has been disheartening. To see the completely lackluster and completely lacking in enthusiasm response from elected Democrats in the House and Senate. We're on our own, guys. We're on our own. You think we're going to get saved by Chuck Schumer? He's going to give a sternly worded speech on the floor of the Senate that will air on C-SPAN. And that's about it. Yeah. So, earlier this week, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, we had the first White House press conference from new press secretary Carolyn Leavitt, who in the span of a single briefing admitted that it was the White House itself that ordered the purge of federal prosecutors who had been investigating Donald Trump, shattering any illusion of separation between the Oval Office and the DOJ, and, revealed that the administration's true motive for its abrupt funding freeze, the order freezing all grants and loans, is that it's their position that Article 1 of the Constitution doesn't say what Article 1 of the Constitution says, that Congress has the power of the purse, that Congress allocates money to be spent and the executive makes sure that those payments get made. Basically, and this is not new. I mean, this goes back to Ronald Reagan. Trump is putting forth the position that he should have basically a line item veto over the entire federal budget, even after it has passed Congress and been signed into law by him. That he decides what money goes where, even after it's law from Congress. There you go. So we'll see how long Carolyn Leavitt lasts as press secretary. And on those same lines, it's like, Trump is ignoring Congress right now. He's doing what he's doing. He doesn't give a shit what the Constitution says. He's daring people to sue him. And we saw this whole ham-handed thing that I was just talking about, that memo that came out from the acting director of OMB, Office of Management and Budget. I think his name is Matt Vaith. And that thing was so ham-handed and badly written that, the day after it was released, there was a temporary administrative stay placed on it. Then a second judge put an injunction against it. Then the White House had to withdraw it, backtrack on it, and pull it, which is how Trump started off his first term with the Muslim ban. They put it out. It was so fucked up, they had to redo it a few times. And that's what we're going to see with this thing. But, you know, it'll get challenged in court again. It'll just be interesting to see whether or not in his second term, Donald Trump obeys the courts. I mean, I'm not holding out hope that he's gonna, but I guess we'll find out. But, you know, Congress passed a law shutting down TikTok, and that was held to be constitutional by the Supreme Court. Donald Trump is ignoring that law right now. He did his little spending freeze kind of thing, ignoring Congress on that as well. And it's like this Trump 2.0 administration is demonstrating that it doesn't intend to be bound by things like legal niceties or checks and balances and its relationship with Congress. And I mean, Democrats are, you know, hair on fire about the whole thing, properly so. And Republicans are just like, they're just kind of shrugging, as they are with Trump's cabinet nominees in these bullshit confirmation hearings, which we'll get to in just a moment. Speaking of Chuck Schumer, a group of 6 Democratic governors pressed Chuck Schumer of New York during a very tense call yesterday, Wednesday, and they want him to be more aggressive in fighting back against Trump and things that Trump is doing, and his nominees and his agenda, all but begging the minority leader to persuade Senate Democrats to block whatever they could, as reported by the New York Times, the same New York Times that wrote an absolutely glowing review of Donald Trump's new press secretary, in case you needed another reason to cancel that subscription. Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard had confirmation hearings today. And it went, I mean, you know, everything's a farce. I mean, everything is just a farce at this point. I mean, Kash Patel is on record saying any number of horrific things. And the Democrats, here's my problem with the Democrats. You can tell which ones of them aren't lawyers and have never seen the inside of a courtroom. You know, it's like they ask him questions like, well, didn't you say that you wanted to close FBI headquarters on your first day and force all the agents to go out into the street and work cases, and then say that you were going to reopen FBI headquarters the following day as a museum to woke or the deep state or whatever the hell it was that he said? They're asking him questions when they have his quotes. And when you have a quote like that, I mean, this is trial practice 101. You don't ask the witness an open-ended question. You say, on this date, you said the following thing, right? I have a transcript. On this date, you said X, Y, and Z. Isn't that correct? I mean, when you're cross-examining someone like this, and this is effectively what they're doing, they're cross-examining him. The Democrats are anyway. The Republicans are like, oh my God, you're star-spangled awesome. I can't wait until you arrest my next campaign opponent. And when you're cross-examining as a trial attorney, that's your opportunity to testify on behalf of your client. And it's like, you said that you're going to prosecute members of the media, correct? You said that you're going to use the civil courts to go after people who disagree with Donald Trump, correct? And they're just like, well, I mean, didn't you say this? And then they let him filibuster for 4 minutes. It's fucking stupid, man. He said that the American people deserve an investigation into Hunter Biden. My God. So who knows, man? Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene is running low on photos of Hunter Biden's massive hog, and she wants Kash Patel to get her some new ones. He wouldn't say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. He would only say that Joe Biden was certified as the president, and they pressed him repeatedly on this, and he will not say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election fair and square. Won't do it. And he's going to be our new FBI director. It's fantastic. During COVID, Kash Patel on his own website was selling supplements that would help you with the side effects of the COVID vaccine. They asked him about that. Yeah. I don't know if anybody asked him questions about his 3 children's books, The Plot Against the King. Which, this would be a good time to say, if you're watching this video and you like it, click like, leave a comment. Please click on the link in the link tree in my bio and go subscribe to my YouTube page, because on my YouTube page there are 2 videos where I read Kash Patel's first book, The Plot Against the King, in front of a fireplace with a fire going. And about a week after that, I read Kash Patel's second children's book, The Plot Against the King 2, 2,000 Mules. Also in front of a fire, in the fireplace. Those videos are up on my YouTube page. They're a hoot. They are a hoot. They asked him questions about his recording of January 6 inmates singing the national anthem that he refers to as the J6 choir. So, you know, and then Tulsi Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard did worse than Kash Patel. And here's the thing, out of Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth, RFK Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard, the only one of those 4 that might not get confirmed is Tulsi Gabbard, who's a woman. Right. Yeah, exactly. So she did horribly today. She doesn't have the votes right now. And if any of these people are not going to get through, I feel like it's her. Although the senator, oh shit, I can't remember his name. Bill Kennedy? He's a senator from the South who had been a doctor for 30 years. He's a Republican. He's not sold on RFK Jr., but, you know, he's got to lose 4 Republican votes in order to not get confirmed. And I don't know. We'll see what that happens. Everybody who watches this knows that I love The Bulwark. Jonathan V. Last puts out a daily newsletter called The Triad. Everybody should go subscribe. He had some good comments today. He's like, if you want to predict the future, you need to understand the systems that govern our reality. Here's a thumbnail description of our system as it exists on January 29th, 2025. The president is a convicted felon who is using the power of his office to place certain of his enemies in physical danger and pardon other convicted felons. His administration has intentionally sparked a constitutional crisis with that spending memo. The only institution which can provide a check on him right now is the Supreme Court, and there are currently at least 2 votes on the court, Thomas and Alito, in support of letting Trump do anything he wants to. The court has already granted Trump blanket immunity from criminal prosecution for any action he takes as president. Any meaningful check of Trump will require the participation of a large number of elected or appointed Republicans who have not taken sides against Trump en masse in nearly a decade. So we're starting to look a lot like Belarus or Hungary, if you can imagine that. And that's, I think, an accurate description. And as I've said repeatedly, and JVL writes about this, Trump wants protests in the streets. He wants massive protests in the streets so that he can deploy the military on U.S. soil and so that he can declare martial law. But never fear, because Hakeem Jeffries has told Democrats to tune out the noise and focus on economic issues. And he tweeted the other day that presidents come and go, but God is always in charge. So, hooray, Hakeem Jeffries. Trump ordered a DEI review of all aviation agencies. A woman that Trump pardoned for January 6th was sentenced to 10 years in prison for a drunk driving incident in which she killed somebody. Tucker Carlson's favorite UFC fighter, Bryce Mitchell, was on a podcast called Arkansanity with Rolly Delgado, where he talked about what a great guy Adolf Hitler was before he got on the meth. So apparently it was meth the whole time with Hitler. So there's that. Okay, Senator Tommy Tuberville, during RFK Jr.'s confirmation hearing, boasts that his granddaughter is not going to get vaccinated because her parents have, quote, done their own research. So good for them. Good for them. Fox News host Jesse Waters suggested that yesterday's mid-air collision happened because the FAA wants to hire dwarves and transgender people. It's unclear right now whether the FAA has hired any transgender dwarves. All right, so that wraps up today's Daily Hawk. Again, please, I'm going to post this on TikTok and YouTube. If you see this on TikTok, please click on the link in my Linktree and go subscribe to my YouTube page. It's free. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please click like. Please subscribe to my page. Please leave a comment, even if it's shitty and you don't know how to spell. Because that's how the rest of us normies, root out the Trump supporters. All right. Tomorrow's Friday. It's the weekend. It's the end of week 2. There's only, 215 weeks to go or some shit. Oh, sooner or later there's going to be backlash. There's going to be backlash, and the backlash is going to gain momentum, and it will build on itself. Donald Trump doesn't have the stamina to do this shit for 4 years, I don't think. But the people that he's bringing into the people who he's bringing into his administration absolutely have the stamina to do this for 4 years. All right, everybody, take care. Tomorrow's the weekend. Please have a fun and safe weekend. I'll talk to you guys soon.